Hey, peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. I'm the man here that gets it all together. Please consider subscribing to the channel. I do thank all of the, I've had a recent uptick in new subscribers. I appreciate that as I make this push for these last 220, 218-ish, whatever it is, to get to that thousand subscriber threshold. So I appreciate that greatly. Hey, anybody that stops through and rocks with me, please hit that like button. If you're coming back a lot, listening to what I'm talking about, the angles that I'm using, and discussing stuff through, please always hit that like button. It really helps out more than you know. Or share it to share it to your social media followings or friends list and all of that type stuff. If you rock with it, why wouldn't somebody else that you rock with, Anyway, it's a couple of different fight weeks. Up in Flint, Michigan, we have the HERstory, #HERstory with Claressa Shields versus Ivana Habazin. With Shields going for the fastest ever to 3 divisions, to being a title holder in 3 divisions. She's moving down to super welterweight, 154 pounds. I think this is a WBO title, if I'm not mistaken. So that's Saturday night up in Flint, Michigan. Heavyweight Jermaine Franklin against a guy. He's going up against a guy named Sour, and then Jaron Ennis is going up against a cat named Damian Hernandez. He's got 3 names, one of the 3 named guys. Hernandez, I believe, is 12-1. I think 4 or 5 knockouts. The good thing will be to see Jaron Ennis back in the ring, and hopefully he was working through some contractual stuff. Maybe that's behind him, and he can really make a push to get in the mix. In terms of starting to compete or marching towards, securing a title shot at welterweight. Definitely one of the more exciting fighters, in the country. That's Saturday. And then also we have Triple G against Derevianchenko over at Madison Square Garden in New York City, obviously, for the IBF belt that Triple G opted not to defend against Derevianchenko a year and a half ago or so, or whatever. He didn't want to take that fight on short notice. I saw Nikita Bobby is on there. He's a 6-0 guy out of the New York area. The Charles Conwell fight got moved off of that to the following week on the Usyk Spawn card. So this card is kind of thin. The Madrimov, I think that's his name, Israel Madrimov. I think he's just 3-0. He's on that card. It's a different kind of, it's a Triple G Promotions, card. The thing there, in all seriousness, I believe the main event should be pretty exciting. I really do. I think Derevianchenko is a good matchup for Triple G in terms of his punching volume and the work rate that he typically fights at. I think it's something different that Triple G isn't accustomed to, and it's not too far out from his comfort zone for him to actually fight the fight, to take the fight. And with there being a belt involved, he really needs to get back to championship status to have the leverage that he would like to have moving into some of these other, likely having to do something else besides the Canelo fight. So I think those are the 2 big events going down Saturday. Really quickly on Shields and Habazin, we don't know anything about Habazin. Like I said, she had some girls in camp. Raquel Miller, pretty beast from out on the West Coast up in the Bay Area. I believe she also worked with Kaylee Reese, who's, you know, typically a welterweight at this point, but did win a title at a heavier weight. So she worked with Kaylee Reese. I believe Alicia Baumgartner might have snuck in there and got in some time with Hapazine. So you know she's getting prepared as best she can. I want to say she also fought Cecilia Brækhus before, who Shields would like to track down before she gets out of the game. I see her exiting the game without ever facing Shields, honestly. But the thing here will be to see, can Hapazine bring the fight? Can she make it interesting? Can she duplicate what Delphine Persoon did against Katie Taylor, who we didn't know much of Persoon? Can she go in here for a round or two and mix it up and make it interesting to an extent, and make this event that Salida Promotions and Showtime Boxing, this commitment that they've made to Hannah Rankin is also on there. I think she'll even be televised. But this commitment that they've made, to make it work for everybody. So that's Saturday night. I'm planning on being there. Really kind of haven't gotten the notification that I was looking for to solidify that, but I would expect that I'm going to be on site and I'll give you some coverage there. Really quickly, let me see. I got 2 or 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes. A couple of thoughts on Spence and Porter from this past weekend. Phenomenal moment, I think, for boxing, man, and for a division with all the negative stuff that we could focus on there. I thought this fight, over delivered, and I'm gonna stick to my football theme and other mainstream sports theme with this one, but I guess Sling TV did not have a great signal in my household. I was looking at a blurrier screen than is acceptable most of the night, so I really can't sit in here and be too adamant in what I'm saying. I am gonna try to watch it back tonight on the on demand. I think this is the last night that I have to do that, and I'm gonna take the time to sit back and watch the fight again. But I think I'm comfortable with 7-5 Spence and then the knockdown. But to think that Spence is exposed, or Spence was forced to fight Sean's fight, I'm not buying any of that, any of those narratives. I thought one thing was interesting. Spence kind of operated with the quarterback clock, going against a guy like Sean Porter, who's somewhat of a rush edge guy. He was inside quite a bit. He did get hit a lot. He was turning around and getting caught with stuff that he wouldn't normally get caught with. But I saw over the last third of the fight, I believe, he was mindful in getting his couple shots off and then just ducking. Getting a couple shots off and just ducking. And maybe he was picking up on Sean's body movement. And when he would sense Sean's shoulders or something, do something, he knew a shot was coming and he ducked. And this is a taller guy getting underneath a shorter armed, shorter fighter. Having to duck down pretty deep when you're tired, when you've been wrestling around with this guy and dealing with this pressure. But he was mindful of that. And that's one thing I mentioned going in. Spence throws a lot of 3 and 4 combinations. He's very consistent in throwing his combinations, though he mixes them up. But he's a very fundamental and efficient based fighter. And a lot of the night, he wasn't able to get into those 3rd and 4th punches because, like I said, you had to get something off and not be where you were. And I felt over the last third of the fight, I saw him making Sean miss quite a bit, much with his own defensive, tactics and whatnot. So, and I felt like he welcomed the challenge. Once things jumped off in that 4th round, he welcomed being in there. I'm better than you. I'm bigger than you. I'm stronger than you. I'm gonna stand here and bang with you. I'm gonna do that. Whereas, Keith Thurman can say, "Well, I beat him in a more convincing fashion." Yeah, you used your legs. You used most of the ring. He used what his skill set is. But here we saw Spence just, acquiesce to, this is how we're going to fight this fight. And I thought one thing that was telling of that was Spence's body language after the rounds. He didn't look like a man who was frustrated. He didn't walk away like, man, get this dude off of me. He didn't look like the moment was too much. He didn't look like he was under duress. He just kept walking, at the end of the rounds, he just kept stopped and was like, man, it's going to take one more round. Just trust the process. That's the body language that I got from him. Just trust the process. And then there in the 11th round, you saw he finally got the knockdown. And it went from there. But like I said, I just felt like I said, we want to do this like we're watching the NBA, where we already know, that the Lakers are going to win the championship or be in the finals. The Lakers or the Clippers or Golden State or whatever. A lot of other Patriots going to 9 Super Bowls or whatever. Boxing just isn't always that predictable. So I think we're penalizing Spence here to a degree because of the hype surrounding him and what's building for him. Some people don't want to see that happening. Like I said, we just want to insert ourselves in the narrative. Moving over to Porter. Dude showed me the heart of a champion, man. And again, going back to football, to say that this guy can't box, he doesn't know how to box. He said it on there, man. He's been boxing since he was 4 years old. How the hell does he not know how to box? I think staying on Spence's right shoulder to get to the right angle and not allowing Spence to set his feet, get his power right, to show some shoulder action, feigning. This is a very focused and cerebral part of the game, is to enter into the pocket safely, to get home safely. And this isn't something that he can be wrong at consistently throughout the night. Like, he's got to be right way more. This isn't like missing, 3 or 6 or 3 or 4 3-pointers in a row. Like, you guess wrong or you go at the wrong time 2 or 3 times, it could be a bad night for you. It could be, you could suffer a big cut, a knockdown. A lot of stuff could go wrong with you being wrong. But he's sitting here reading his keys, reading the reactions that he's getting out of Spence. And, the action didn't take place at mid-range a lot or outside at the end of Spence's jab. I think Spence was only credited with 7 more jabs than him landing. But his jab wasn't a big part of the story. And this is, like I said, from using footwork, from sticking to the game plan, reading his keys, and getting inside to make it interesting. And I think what I was looking for going into this, I wanted to know was the boxing, him leaning more on his just flat out boxing and not engaging in the manner that we'd seen him do so much prior to Danny Garcia and then going into the You Guys fight. I wanted to know, is this a trend where this is a smaller man who's just not willing to do what it takes for a smaller guy, disadvantaged guy in the tail of the tape stuff to be effective? And it wasn't. He just, on those nights he fought that way. Here for this one, he talked it all the way through the promotions, on the Sway in the Morning show, and everywhere that I saw him, and the Sirius XM boxing show, everywhere that I heard him, he said, I will be in that tire with him. We will have one foot in the tire. I'll be in his chest. I'm going to make him work for all 12 rounds. And we got that. So he accomplished his goal. I do just think, he had some accuracy issues that were hard for me to overlook, and that's why how I got to a 7-5 type situation. But like I said, man, these smaller athletes, I was trying to think of some football guys. Joe Morris was a name that came up from the Giants back in the day. But you look at some undersized guys who were forced, some undersized bigs who were forced to play center or power forward, and they didn't really like it. Guys like Chris Webber, guys like Larry Johnson, even Amelo to some degree, didn't want to be in there guarding power forwards. Charles Barkley, these guys, like at some point in their career, even a smaller point guard like Isaiah Thomas, even to a degree, and Allen Iverson, challenging all the going in amongst the trees earlier in his career. These are just athletes. You look at some of the different tennis players, who are, who've been shorter throughout the years playing the bigger tennis players. As a shorter athlete, it takes a lot more, to be victorious. And I just think I was wondering if Sean was going down that road of, these guys are typically bigger and longer than me, and I'm weighing the risk reward, and it's just I can do it this way and still compete. Maybe not dominate and win, but I can still compete. But squash that. Sean went to battle the other night, I think after, he got knocked down, looking over at Spence and saying, let's go. Just real fire, real belief in himself and self-confidence and all of that. And for all of the personal attacks that were made against the Porters, man, like I said, man, that's a father and son team that need to hang their head low about nothing, man. And I hate to see Sean have to engage in the war of words with and kind of add insult to injury with Spence after the fight, in the press conference. Like, he got the win. He got the knockdown halfway, living up to his promise or his vow to stop Sean. He checked a couple of boxes in the head-to-head rivalry. There'll be no major push for a rematch or anything. So now you got to sit here and kind of still continue to talk because you're competitive. I get it, but again, everything was left and said in the ring, man, and that's that. And that was, if you go to Round by Round Boxing and check out my pre-fight prediction, I just summed it up simply with the hell with all the X's and the O's and the technique and strategy and all of that. Sean's best just might not be better than Errol Spence Jr.'s best. And every once in a while, that happens. So, again, probably won't be doing any more Morning Woods the rest of the week. Hopefully up in, like I said, Flint for the weigh-ins Friday morning. So no Bite Down Boxing live stream next Saturday. Won't look to do that unless things go really well. So that's that. Like I said, man, I appreciate all of the support. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Bite Down Boxing. Don't let them count you out. Be on the lookout for the next quarterly pound for pound rankings on roundbyroundboxing.com. Looks like the page has done very well with the collection of people that are contributing to that. I want to say it's 20-something people, writers, photographers, personalities, contributors, etc., etc., etc. So check that out, the roundbyroundboxing.com pound for pound list. I think I got to have my selections or my list in my top 10 in Friday, I believe. So, hey, I'm out. Peace.